Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. Let me go ahead and pin this link to the top. And we are, Lee can't make it tonight. He's had a tough day, apparently. So we're going to motor on without him tonight. A little bit later than normal, but honestly, wasn't planning to, was kind of planning earlier to go live, but didn't work out that way, but it's all good. We're here now, and hopefully you guys are doing well. You got to leave in like 3 minutes to get a coworker to the airport. Well, thank you, Dominique. And if I'm still here, I don't know how long this is going to be. If I don't get somebody to pop in, then just talking to a chat box is not very fun, especially when I could be out watching my fire burn, smelling that burned wood. But if you are, definitely please come on. But yeah, so hopefully everybody's bees are doing well on Father's Day. Well, there you go. Look at him, just like that. Hey, Bubba.
Hey, I was going to show you this thing, and then I got to leave.
Okay.
This thing, it look at this. So it's like a regular stick,
right? Like a selfie stick.
It's got the legs on it so you can prop it. And then it's like an actual like battery pack. It's got controllers there.
So it's kind of like one of those juice boxes or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, it's a juice box because it'll go. I was having a problem with my GoPro, and you can literally take the battery out. So it does not even have a battery.
And just run it in the charge port on the other side?
And then you just plug it in and watch.
Now it won't work because you're trying to show me, you know that, right?
Oh, look at that. Turns right on. And it says, no battery on it.
But and it still works fine.
It records 100% fine. Yeah, no battery.
And you didn't have any problem with it overheating at all?
Yesterday I went over and put supers on all my colonies. Now, and I was like every other hive, I was changing batteries because they would cook. They were just hot.
And do you get that deet deet deet? It just shuts off?
Yep. It did it down at Greg's. It did it at Greg's. It shut off, and Greg was like, "Oh my God, that sound! I'm going to kill it."
That's what happens to me. I'll be in the middle of a big manipulation or something, like on a demarray, and then all of a sudden, deep, and it's gone. I'm like,
"Yep." So I was about ready to throw that stupid thing like back at GoPro and just tell them, "Hey,
thanks, but no thanks."
Pretty much it's across the board that everybody has issues.
Right.
And it does suck. You spend $70 and buy another one of their products, but I would imagine, Bob, you could probably get like, what is it, Ulanzi?
Right.
Or you could go on Amazon and spend probably $30
and get basically the same thing.
Battery stick. Yeah. That one there, the only plus with that is you have the controls. Like you could change the mode and stuff right on it.
Hey, let me show you something. You got to up your 3D printing game.
What?
Spanky from Filament Corner sent me.
Wow, freaking double nuke.
And it's got my logo 3D printed in the lid.
What?
Inner cover.
Crap.
But check this out. This, I don't know, you'll know this better than me.
Yeah.
But his filament, the frames look wood. And the filament for the insert.
Yeah, so you can get, it's like a wood fiber filament.
Right.
Choose through your nozzles.
Did you want one?
And then check this out. They got little pegs.
Oh yeah.
So the boxes don't slide around.
Upped his game. Yeah.
And he's got
I'm a rookie.
Hey, but check this out. This was the amazing stuff right here.
What?
That I didn't even open up. I know you got to run.
my little bees. Are those the little bees?
No, a Boardman feeder
What?
that's got magnets.
Oh my!
So it magnets together.
Wow!
A frame holder
You got to be kidding me!
that's got a so like you just hang that on the
Yeah, yeah,
colony,
yeah.
right?
That is slick.
And a pollen trap
What?
that's magnet too, right? So,
He took his game like he basically destroyed me.
but I know this is your gig, right? So I'm sure
Yeah,
you can
that's
find the
pretty slick.
files just to show you some extra add-ons,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That's slick, man.
So I thought you'd like to see that since you were on here, but it was
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I still have yours. You're sitting there, so I'm gonna have like every hive known to man. It looks like,
That double nuke could actually be pretty cool.
and it's got a queen excluder,
Oh wow, yeah,
and then
that's slick.
obviously it's two nuke boxes and independent.
Yeah, that's pretty
Well,
slick.
Oh, so the boxes are independent, but the bottom is one piece, it appears.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's got the little pins in it, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So you got to take a coworker to the airport.
Oh, I got to pick up a coworker at the airport.
I gotcha.
So they give us like we have to watch the budget and that stuff. So
Right.
they'll give us a certain number of rental cars and and where we're at this week, I'm in Aurora, Colorado. I'm like literally it's like an 11-minute drive to the airport.
Isn't that where Mork from Mork was at? Aurora?
I don't know. I know that
Mork and Mindy.
Yeah. The only thing I know of Aurora is it's where that shooting was some years ago.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it was a shooting here.
Was that the movie theater one?
I think so.
Yeah, it's tragic.
I had to stir stuff up though today. Look at when I travel anymore.
Your grunt style shirts.
Yeah. I had the one on earlier and I looked at my wife. I'm like, I can't do this because I'll end up getting thrown off the plane. It had an AR and under it said "We the People."
Right.
And I'm get kicked off with my Hornady hat and my camo shorts and my AR on my shirt. They're gonna think I'm like some kind of freaking nutcase.
A militianist. Got your militia going.
Yeah, I know.
But so, I mean, how do you think you're going to do on honey this year? What do you think how it's going to go?
I tell you what.
Hey, Bruce.
What's up there? What's up there, Jenny? Bruce, Jenny?
That's Jenny from the block to you.
Exactly. I tell you, my one colony, I didn't show it yet. My one colony, it's just done. That poly one that was, the last video was going down. I'm just not even going to piss with it. I think it's got a laying worker in it now. I'm just not even. When I get back home, I didn't have enough time yesterday to do anything else with it. I looked in it. I saw the drone brood, and I'm like, to hell with it. And I just let it go. And when I get back home in 12 days, I'm going to take it up to the very front of the yard, shake it out, and call it a day. So,
right.
But the other ones, my other two that made it through the winter, are packing in the honey now. Like I lifted the one super and it had a little bit of weight on it. So it's good. All the other colonies across my front all have, 1 and 2 supers on them. So two of the colonies only have 1 super because I ran out of frames. I have the boxes. I don't have enough frames.
When I came out of winter, I had 12 colonies.
Yeah.
So I kind of in my mind had planned that I was going to be able to harvest off of 12 colonies, but then some wild hair creeped in my britches, and
not yours.
I ended up with like over 50 colonies.
Well,
so
not yours.
So now it's like, maybe I don't get that much honey this year, but maybe next year if I don't go to like something crazy and do like Bruce and just go from split everything again. But I'm trying right now. I'm just trying to get them stronger.
Mike there says, or you could merge it. That's what My thought in my head, what I'm going to do is those double nukes I have are building up like crazy, and I don't want to lose any of those queens. So I think I'm going to end up that double nuke. I'm going
You
to
know,
split it and
you
just
could
put them in their own colonies.
yeah,
And
you could take a nuke, one of your double nukes. You could just move the box that's there now with the laying workers
yeah,
off to the side.
yeah,
Put that nuke in a 10 frame box. Go out and shake them bees. All the bees will fly back and add right to that
yep,
colony
yeah. That's what
with
I'm
a
going to
queen.
do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move one of my double nuke colonies. I think I'm going to end up moving it out to my place for a couple days, let them reorient, and then I'll put them back in that same spot where the laying worker is the same day when I shake it. So then all the foragers will go back and they'll just boost that thing. So,
Right.
it'll
Yeah.
take a little bit of work, but, at least I'll boost that colony.
Yeah, you
So,
definitely will do that. I went through some today and it was like, I don't understand that. I'll go into colonies. They got tons of bees, but very little is capped. But you see tons of larvae. You'll see eggs and larvae, just not a lot of capped. And I don't know if they're like loading it up, capping it, they're hatching out. And just every time I happen to go in there, it's like she's coming off a 3-week vacation and starting to lay back. I don't know,
that's
but
weird. Yeah.
very little just capped. It's all open larva all the time, it seems like. But
Huh.
I mean, my big colonies are doing good. My little colonies are gaining strength.
That's good.
But I did the Bruce's Bees tote. Just pour the syrup in the tote and let the pine straw come up on it, and open fed them and let them
They
go.
probably devoured it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about like 7 gallons
Oh, wow.
in a day.
Wow.
So yeah, so like I'll mix it's less than 1-to-1. I'll take a mix up a 5 gallon of 1-to-1, and then I'll put about another 3 gallons of just plain water in the bucket, make sure I got all the rest of the sugar dissolved, dump it in there,
Yeah.
and then let them rock, because
Yeah.
they use the water and evaporate it anyway. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But
almost 8:20. I got to hit it, buddy.
All right, man. Well, maybe
If
someone else hop in, huh?
If you're on when I get back, I'll hop on for a little bit. Because
Okay.
I'm sitting in a hotel room.
Bored.
Well, at least I brought my camera. Like everything that I filmed yesterday, I'll sit, probably tomorrow and the next day and edit it. And an old project manager of mine lives in town, so I'm going to try and get together with him.
Well, what about the guy you said that lived out there that had bees? Are you going to see that guy?
I'm gonna try on Saturday. Yeah, he does stuff, pretty much all the time. But by the time I get out of work, it's 5 o'clock, and then I eat dinner.
Right.
So, but yeah, Saturday I'm gonna hang out in Denver actually over the weekend because I got to go straight from here to Albuquerque. So I'm gonna fly to Albuquerque on Sunday, but Saturday I'm gonna see if I can't get together with that guy and.
So they got you out of town like 2 weeks back to back before you get to go home?
Yeah, 12 days. But then I'll be home 10 days. And then the next trip after that, I'll go to California. And I volunteered. They were the second location in California. They only need 2 people. And the second location is in Sacramento. It's like an hour.
So you go see Jose.
It's like an hour and 20 minutes from Jose. And I volunteered. I said, hey, I told my boss, I said, hey, I volunteered for that before. I said I would stay. That way I would help out. So, the girls don't have to stay out of town as much. When in the back of my head, I'm thinking, no.
I get to spend a weekend at Jose's.
The company is telling me to be in Sacramento so I could visit Jose. I'm not dumb.
And Maximilian.
Yeah.
That's the I've already, my 2-framers are on their they've already raised some daughters of Jose's queens.
Wow.
So I've taken
those things are killing it. Literally killing it.
They are doing well, even in the little 2-framers. They're building it up. and then I'm just taking one of the frames out and moving it to another.
Oh, okay.
And then they're going to make a queen, and then make a queen, and then if I need to, if somebody wants a queen or something, then I could sell it and just let them make a queen.
Bruce says that'll be fun. Bruce, I already texted Jose and I told him I think the day that I know that literally I could spend an entire day at his place before I fly home. So he's gonna, once I iron out like the definite yes, that's a go, then he said he'll like try and get some stuff planned out. And then he texted me at the end of it. He said, should I thank you now for the free labor or when you're here? I told him, just so you give me a donut, I don't care. Hey,
well, don't they have like Winchell's or something out there, don't they?
Well, I told him I want to hit up that, there's that taco stand that he always goes to.
Oh, yeah.
It's that food truck.
If it's anything like the ones they have in South Florida, they're amazing.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine if Jose goes there, and he is always, every time I saw him eating one, he was always just like drooling. So
yeah, I mean, you always go to eat where the Hispanic eats.
Yeah.
If they're eating there, it's good.
They're eating the taco stand. Exactly.
Right.
Jose Uribe approved.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Branded on the burrito.
Exactly. Yeah.
But don't be late to get your.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to check the flight status.
What do you think about that?
What do you got there? It went blurry.
Oh.
Oh, I see it. That looks good. Yeah, that looks good.
This is something somebody said, oh, hold it for me. I'm going to come buy it.
Exactly.
And guess what?
And they ran right over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, over a week I've been sitting with that on my desk now.
They ran right over. So
guess what? The next time I'm out there and somebody says, you got any honey with comb? Sure do. Let me go get it for you. And that's about, and then I got a quart one with some of that too.
A plane just landed. It says it landed at 8:26. So that was like right now. So yeah, let me head up there.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Brian. If I'm still on when you get done.
I should only probably be a half an hour or so because like I said, the airport's it's like 10, 11 minutes away.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No, it's literally I go down the street like a mile and get on some airport parkway, and I drive 8 miles on airport parkway, and it goes right into the airport.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Hey, well, if you're in Denver again, man, you got to go by. That's where the Jolly Ranchers factory is.
Really?
Yeah. When I used to drive over the road, and I had to go pick up a 53-foot trailer of Jolly Ranchers candy.
Oh my gosh!
And they hooked me up with a box of like seconds, little deformed Jolly Ranchers. Who cares if they're deformed?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
a Jolly Rancher.
So I drove from Denver back down to South Carolina, Jolly Ranchers the whole way.
Nice. Did you see what Bob just said? Half hour.
Maybe not. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sitting here and talking to the chat box for 30 minutes. So if nobody hops in, it'll be a squash tonight.
All right, man. I'm gonna go.
All right. Appreciate you, Brian.
Up, friend. I'll be back.
All right, man.
All right.
Bye.
I'll see you all.
All right. Who's next? Somebody jump in here. We'll play round robin tonight because, it's Father's Day. My wife's in there by herself watching whatever she's watching. And if you want to talk bees, we could talk bees. And, those little two-framers, hey, look who we got here. Sawmill Charlie, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Charlie, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Happy Father's Day.
Yep, thank you.
How many youngins do you have?
3. 2 boys and a girl.
And I got the other way around. I got 2 girls and a boy and a stepdaughter. So I got 4 combined. But what you been doing?
Well, today I went out to the Moose Lodge here locally. They had bluegrass music there, which I like, and friends of mine were playing there, so I spent the afternoon there and been filming some bee videos. And
I have not been filming bee videos.
yeah, I'm working on some stuff for next week, and I'm just amazed here lately where my subscriber totals have just been,
Going up.
yeah, I mean, it's like 10 overnight and then another 10 through the day.
Well, I'm glad somebody's is blowing up because mine is kind of stagnant, which is unusual. I mean, Tuesday night, we usually have 60 people on the stream, and it's just kind of slowed down, but it's okay. I guess people don't want that free solar wax melter. That's all I can say. When I get to 2,000, the giveaway is going to happen, but it is. And part of that is because I'm not putting out videos. I'm doing lives. And the only reason I'm not putting videos out is because my GoPro overheats and just shuts off in the middle of it. So Brian showed me something that should fix that. So we'll see. I'll probably have to order one.
No, just and I've been, well, let's see. I got a bunch of queen cells that have been put in. I think they hatched this past Wednesday. Their release day is supposed to. And some of my first grafts have hatched and mated, and I'm starting to see them come back and start laying and everything, and they're nice looking. Some of them are real small bees, some of them are big queens, and
Right.
so honey harvest is pretty much over with as far as I'm concerned. I'll wait till the first of next month and start harvesting honey.
Now, do you guys get much of a fall flow up there?
Some years, if it rains, yeah, a little bit. You don't count on it
Right.
to get you through the winter. You're going to have to feed. Now, a friend of mine, he lives about 20 miles north of me. He lives close to a big river and orchards and things like that. And he'll have a fall flow, and they pretty much, the bees take care of themselves about, he doesn't have to feed any sugar, or I do.
I am worried about what's going on with my bees right now. They're just kind of, I'll go in a colony. They're obviously getting a little bit bigger, right? Like my nukes that I put into 10 frames, they're starting to get bigger. But when I go in there, I'll see no cap brood, but I will see larvae and I will see some eggs, but not capped. And I don't know if they're laying them and then they're tearing them down, or if I'm just not checking those often enough to where when I just happen to come back there's no brood. I mean, 2 of them today. I actually, I gave a colony eggs just to see if they would make a queen. I gave another colony eggs the other day. They didn't make queens. They let them, they actually did cap those. So that tells me there's a queen in the box somewhere. Right. If they didn't make one, and I'm just not seeing it. So, but my 2 framers, I've had some daughters of Jose's queens that have hatched and come back mated and are laying. So they're doing pretty good. It's just, just a constant cycle. I've got an open air hive in a tree. Now, all right, so here's a question you may have seen before. So I had a little swarm. I don't know which box it came out of. I don't know. And it's just about, probably about this big a cluster hanging on a branch about 30 feet up. Now, underneath it, I've got a double nuke with 5 frames in the top, but only one of those frames have any comb on it. And that one comb had a little bit of wax moth damage. And there's a few hundred bees that have moved into this box with no queen, and they're cleaning the frames and everything up. But right above it in the tree is that little swarm. Have you ever seen bees from a swarm move into a colony like that and clean the comb to make it inhabitable for the swarm to move in? Or is that something that just
I've never seen that. Now, is that one of them open air hives that's got comb up on the branch?
Well, they moved there Tuesday. Tuesday night before the show, I had a swarm. It landed on that branch. And it's still there, still hanging right there. And then the double nuke that I put underneath it to try to attract it down has a few hundred bees in it. There's bees going in and out, but there's no food in there, so they're not robbing it.
Right.
They're just hanging out in the box and on that old comb and cleaning it up. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Look who we got from Minnesota, Mike.
So this is a different screen pattern here or something.
Will this make you feel more comfortable? Hold on. No, not that one. Where is it? Not that one. That one.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
You know Lee does all that crap. I don't do that.
Okay.
I just come on and go live, and he does everything else. I just run my mouth. So, I don't know, could you hear me talking when you're in the back room there, Mike, before I added you in about the swarm and the double nuke? Have you ever seen that? Now, I will say, I just saw Eugene say, try a queen pheromone stick. I do have one of those Swarm Commander vials broke, and I did that from Tuesday. So I'm thinking that maybe on Tuesday, it was too strong for them. And now that scent is starting to, weaken. And maybe now the bees are starting to come. I don't know. But it's the weirdest thing because I've got that double nuke there. The swarm is still up on the branch since Tuesday. I've got a few hundred bees going in and out. I took it apart to see they're in the corner and everything, but I didn't see any queen. There's no queen on that comb. They're not trying to build any new comb, like from the bottom of the frames or something. They're just chilling out in the box. I don't know. And it was empty when I put it up there. So I've never seen it before. But I'm seeing a lot of stuff this year I haven't seen before.
How much pollen are you seeing being brought in?
I have a lot of pollen in my colonies right now, but I'm seeing very little pollen just coming in right now. So today I actually went out and put a couple hands full of in my dry, my feeder tube, my pollen tube, and they didn't find it. I put it out there later in the afternoon, so I imagine tomorrow I'll be able to see if they hit that pollen sub. Means there's kind of a pollen dearth going on. So
yeah,
and
I mentioned not seeing cap brood and just seeing the eggs going out, and I bet you anything they're cannibalizing them.
So you think if I threw pollen patty on them, that
I'd do it. I took Charlie's advice here, and I made the stuff up in the pastry bag and just laid a couple strips down on the top, and but then the pollen opened right back up again. So give it a run.
Don't you have pollen out in a tube or something like that, Bob?
I got dry sub out, but not actually in the colony. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but are they hitting it? Are they getting it?
I just put that out today. The last one I did, they did take it all out of there over a few days. So they were hitting it. But like my bigger colonies that have the most foragers, right? They're going to slam that in as fast as they can put it in. Where the smaller colonies, they don't have as many foragers. So I think it's kind of slowing them down a little bit.
Now
but on occasion though, some hives they'll find like a small batch of flowers someplace, and they'll bring it in. So they're not going to the open feeder because they found something better. But it's funny to walk around and look at the different hives and see which ones are bringing in pollen and which ones aren't.
Right.
And, it's just they just find the different flower patches and go from there. But
I mean, I've got plenty of sub. What I really want to try is I have a problem with my patties drying out here. And even if I use like vegetable oil in them or something like that, when I mix it, they still dry out. So I don't know what.
Was it you that talked about putting them in a Ziploc bag?
Yeah, I was putting them in a Ziploc bag, but
and then cutting a hole out of the bottom of them.
Yep. And that was working on my bigger colonies, right? I was putting a half pound on them at a time. But when I start talking like 2-frame nukes and 5-frame nukes, I can't put that much pollen sub in one of those because the beetles will tear it up quick. So I have to end up taking it out and like breaking pieces off to set on the colony. And so I have to try to figure it out.
Now, Larry says here, maybe they don't have a queen. And then Eugene says maybe try a queen pheromone stick or put some open brood in there. Maybe that'll attract them.
Charlie, I was thinking the latter myself, some open brood, and just see what happens. You know, and if there is queenless, you know, if you get some like eggs and whatnot, they'll turn around, possibly make you a couple cells. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, well, I think what they're saying is put it in that empty hive, but I don't think that's gonna.
Have you ever?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he already had bees in there. I thought there was just a couple that were.
There are a few hundred bees in the colony, or in that colony now, in that nuke that just showed up. I thought they were scout bees from the swarm, and they'll get more and more that kind of get there, but the swarm's still hanging from the branch. So I'm sure they've got some combs started up there now. Have you ever?
It could be. I saw something like that happen once because I had an empty hive right next to another hive.
Larry says shoot it with a shotgun.
I could do that now.
Oh yeah.
My nephew's got this Polish semi-automatic shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a bullpup. That thing, man, he fires slugs out of that thing. It'll tear a 4x4 post to shreds. I mean, just blast it to pieces.
Shotgun?
Yeah.
Are you talking about a shotgun in a bullpup configuration?
No, yeah, it's called a bullpup, but it shoots 12 gauge slugs.
Hey, Jim.
So, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. Have you ever done this? 2-frame nukes through the winter, Charlie?
No. I only use them for mating, and come probably the end of July is pretty much the end of our queen rearing season, and then I'll, if there's bees in there or whatever, I'll put all them in some other hive and put them away for the winter.
Well, my thing is, I've seen Barnyard Bees has done it before. It's my goal. Knock on wood. I've got a lot of goals, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm trying to get my 5-framers strong enough to move to 10 frames. So I can just slam feed on them, let them draw out the comb, and, store it with, I don't care if it's sugar syrup or not in their brood box.
When I do 5-frame, I do 5/5, which is 10 frames. And right. I'll go through the winter that way.
Well, I'm trying to manage my equipment. I've got deeps and mediums that I can use, right? And 5 frames, but I don't have as many nuke boxes. So I wanted to get my 2-framers really strong so I could move them into a 5-frame for over the winter.
Yeah, I did that this week. I went into one of my 2-framers. Got a really nice big dark queen in there. She's got like carpet brood in one of the frames on both sides and eggs in the other. I mean, she just slammed everything up, and a big population covering all that stuff too. Right. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, she's ready for, she's looking for some room. And so I went ahead and put her in 5-frame.
Well, that's like even with my colonies that are bearding, I went through a bunch of them and they had swarm cells on them. And I took all those frames with swarm cells and moved them to 2-frame boxes. And one of them already had a hatch out. The queen went out, mated, and came back, and they tore all the other swarm cells down in a 2-framer. And, they're building that colony back up.
That's a good call. Now you got another hive.
So yeah,
you're looking
just what I need, another colony.
Yeah, you gotta be able to fill up that 30-frame extractor.
I have grown 40 colonies this year.
Yeah,
and and I'm sitting here saying, man, I should have more honey than this. But then I'm thinking, well, maybe not.
You know, it goes in seasons, I guess you would call it, or years. You know, this year, when I first, met you online here, you had
12
hives. You had made a big mistake about splits.
Yep.
And all that. Now look at you now. You're only talking 3 months later since we first got on here, and you've did a 180-degree turnaround. You've tripled pretty much your hive quantity.
Well, I've kind of looked. I'm looking beyond the honey right now, right? So
this year is all about growing. Get your stuff populated, strong hives to go through the winter, and get your numbers up. Next year should be your honey year. Now, hopefully you lose, let's say you might lose 5% or 10%
right.
of the hives possibly, or maybe you're gonna not lose hardly at all. And now you got these good strong hives, and you'll
let them rip.
You'll be bringing in the honey, and the honey crop's going to be next year.
Well, I'm hoping that I'll be able to sell with 50 colonies. Hopefully, I can get, maybe sell a few more nukes than I did this year in the spring.
Yeah.
Right, and stuff like that. So, it's my hope.
Bob, how many honey supers do you have with drawn comb in them?
And see, that was my other thing, because I only had 12 colonies. I didn't have that many drawn supers, right? So now I've got it. It's so weird, because I figured the 12 colonies I brought out of winter, I'm like, they're going to be honey makers. They're going to make honey and I'll be fine. But they are really not producing that much honey due to the splits and everything I've got. What's making the honey are the new nukes that I bought that were just insanely overpacked when I bought them. They're the ones that just went insane storing and drawing comb. So,
well, here's the good news, because, as Charlie's mentioning there, you're getting the stronger hives for next year, and that's fine. But, and absolutely true. But the other part of it is, once you get boxes and boxes and boxes of drawn comb, then you'll see your honey production really come into line. So
yeah, well, see, that's what I'm hoping right now for the fall, is because those tall colonies that I have on the end that I've extracted honey out of, now they have drawn comb. So any nectar with those stronger colonies, they're going to be able to just store and cap.
Yeah.
So
and something that doesn't hardly ever works when you've got a real slow time. But one of the things you can do is you can take your empty frames and, honey supers, 10 frames in, and just put them on top of your actual production, your filled combs.
right.
And then you're distributing your load a little bit. You're going to lose some honey production that way, but then you're getting some of the comb built up. So it's a trade-off.
What I did is like, I won't say the first set of honey boxes I put on, I made them 9 frame to make them to draw the wax out and stuff like that. And then the last couple sets of 10 framers that I put on, I did like what Cayman said. I pulled 2 frames out of drawn comb, and then checkerboard those foundations in there. And I mean, if you do that, that gives you those 2 frames per box with 10 boxes. You got 20 frames. So you got 2 more boxes of drawn comb, and you're not hurting your honey production either.
Well, that's what I found with those 2 frame nukes, right? So if you get a lot of bees in there, and and one's drawn, and you put an empty next to them, they draw out that other frame. So now I've got 30 frames getting drawn at one time. Now they're slow. They are slow drawing it, but
yeah,
but they are drawing it.
You can do the checkerboarding too, but if you got time, which you do, don't forget to do the vertical zigzag checkerboarding. So you've got a drawn comb and then right above it a bare one, and back and forth. It's a lot of work to pull those things and bounce them back and forth. But everybody talks about checkerboarding, and that's just perfect. I mean, I do that all the doggone time. Get some in there, let them draw it out.
Now I've checkerboarded the brood box, but when I'm kind of like Larry right now, where he said checkerboarding the foundation in the honey supers.
Yeah,
I found that they were filling up the comb that was drawn out and not really messing with the empty ones.
exactly. And that's, I think, why part of the reasoning behind doing the zigzag, between them two, because for some stupid reason, when you got a frame that's full and one right above it that's empty, or vice versa, they seem to look at that and go, okay, well, we got to take care of this one.
Yeah, the one on top.
It's really weird.
How many, if you're in a honey super, how many of those empties would you put in how much checkerboarding would you do? 3 frames, 2 frames?
I don't like doing it at all, to tell you the truth, Charlie. I mean, I really don't. I might just do 2 or 3.
Well, I mean, I was having full boxes of empty foundation because I had no drawn comb for them, so they had to work with it. But that demo that I did on that last colony, once I flipped it to where they had to move down to get out, they started drawing that stuff right up.
Well, that's the other thing too. They can do some really weird entrance preference as far as like drawing in location. It's and if remember that when you look at like any cutout or any hive that you see in a tree, the brood is always at the bottom and the honey is always at the top. But I'm going to kill a couple birds here, back up the truck a little bit. You were talking about overwintering 2 frames or whatever. Mm-hmm. So all of the new supers that we've been making, the deeps, all have dados for either a 3-frame or dual 5-frame configuration. So, and the beauty of that is that if I take one of those things, and let's just say I use it for mating, just divide it up. So it's just a 3-frame in there.
Right.
And if that grows, I can just pull out another slide. And if I want to, they can just expand right into that whole hive. So that's another option you've got. And
well, I don't know if you heard, I've got a laser coming.
I caught something about that. I really don't like you.
I've got a laser coming, and what I'm thinking about doing is I can cut 1/8 inch. It's only 1/8 inch plywood, right? I can cut 8-inch or 1/8 of an inch plywood, but I can use the laser to cut out my dividers for my, my 3. I've got a deep that's got 2 router spots in it, and I can use that 1/8 inch board, cut it with the laser, and just drop them right in as dividers to make the 3 framers. I've got 3 deeps like that, so that's 9 frames.
Okay, well then you'll figure it out, but I really like that option, and that's why all the supers we made are that way. Every single one of them, even the standard supers. But back to drawing out comb and also having hard patties. Once you figure out your flow is done, immediately after that, it's always a kind of a fun thing to just throw on some bare foundation and put a big ass feeder on that thing, and let them just build that wax up. And if they do cap some of that, and you end up with all that funny honey or sugar honey, go ahead and extract. Well, hang on. Go ahead and extract that. And that's actually what I prefer to make my pollen patties out of. And this stuff never dries out. So that's another option there. There's a downside to that somebody brought up that said, well, if you're pulling all this sugar honey out, and what happens if you have a diseased hive? Is it going to distribute between the two? Well, I kind of take that with a grain of salt because, honey is, especially sugar honey, has got so much
well, it's still processed just like regular honey, right? They take it into their gut, they add the enzyme, and they regurgitate it.
Right, they do, but the sugar syrup honey has got a much higher load of peroxide in it than normal honey. So my attitude is
antibacterial.
So my attitude is I don't really give a rat's ass. If I do have a diseased hive, hey, I could lose my entire, backyard, but I haven't seen it in the years I've been doing it. So
Right.
that's the other side of the coin. But yeah, you mix it just with the funny honey, because you do that, you get that when you're building comb up, and you don't want to sell that. But yeah, but for crying out loud, that's what I used to make my pollen patties. And I did just, Bob, I did something. I just made one pollen patty, and I didn't put it in a bag or anything. I actually put it in a stainless steel bowl and let it sit there for about a month. Doggone stuff still wouldn't dry out.
Really?
I'm not kidding. I was shocked. Someone should actually get that up. You don't have it in video, so you can't prove it. But I just was blown away by. I just like, what the hell's this? This should be drying out. Well, I was wrong. So, just something I noticed there.
Yeah, that's something that I'm definitely. I've heard if you use high fructose corn syrup, they won't dry out.
Yeah, the thing about the high fructose corn syrup, though, is that if it sits long enough, the pH actually will change in it, and that's not always the best stuff for it. James, your hip is killing you, man.
Yeah, he just had hip surgery not long ago, I think.
Yeah, man. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to interrupt.
But yeah. So, here's something I'm going to ask you how you deal with it too. Then, since you guys have been doing this a minute, so you got a 10 frame box, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Do you ever have where they're building to like the brood box is on one side of that, where where they draw up the one side, but then the other side they just kind of don't really do much with, and how do you combat that? I always end up moving it over and moving a frame to the outside, and then the next time I come in, I'll pull a frame out and move it over, and move a frame to the outside. I mean, that's just typically how I've been doing it, but I don't know if you think it messes them up or.
Charlie, you want to take that one?
You can do it that way, but it sounds like to me that they, it's like all that stuff in 10 frame, your main bee cluster is always on 5 or 6 frames in the center.
Right.
And that's where if you're growing a hive, put it in a 5 frame box and put another 5 frames on top of it when they get the 5 in the bottom done. And they'll move up and they'll draw that wax out if it's in foundation and feed them at the same time, if you can feed them.
Right.
If
there's
not a heavy nectar force.
That's the worry I have now is that if I put it, I was doing it at night, which worked pretty well, but I still noticed if they didn't finish it all the way, it kind of, the bigger colonies would come and
want to rob
it. So Eugene says he uses coconut oil and he doesn't have any problem with it drying out.
And
it don't take that much
too. I kind of like that idea.
I might do that tomorrow, then go get some coconut oil and make up some patties. I still have some patty that I made. I just know that when I go to the 2 framers, I really put a 50-cent size on there, 50-cent piece.
Well, if you put that peppermint oil in there, does it still dry out with that in there?
Yeah, it will over time. But they usually eat it pretty fast. It just doesn't,
like on the side box, 5-10 frame on the side. So when I end up seeing a frame that just isn't being drawn out, I've taken to dating every single frame I have, and putting down what it is. Is it Premier? Is it Acorn? Whatever. So I can look back on now. But I have some frames that they just haven't touched. And I always treat those with a certain amount of suspicion, guys. I'll actually pull that frame out and either hit it with a hairdryer to freshen the wax on it, or I'll re-wax it and put it back in.
Well, I can tell you don't live down here because all I got to do is take it out and set it on the hive next to it for about 2 minutes and then flip it over for another 2 minutes and drop it right back in.
I was actually going to ask, I was thinking about you today because it's we had about the highest temperature we've had in 10 months. And I'm sorry, but when it's 20 below and I'm working outside, I have a full beard. I don't know how the hell you're holding your beard at this temperature, man. God bless you, better man than I am.
There's people that want me to shave it, but I figure at this rate, I'm going to have to sit in some malls to make some money around Christmas time. So I got to let it grow out a little bit so I can manicure it and dye it gray for, Santa time at the mall or something.
Yeah. Well, if you're handing out candy canes and selling honey at the same time, I want to see that. Good luck to you. That'd be a neat thing.
It's it's funny. I think everybody that's pulling honey down here pulls it around this time. So there's not a shortage of honey, right? So people can
Yeah.
find honey if they want it. So it's not going as quick as it was back in the wintertime when I pulled it off like in January when it was starting to warm up and, pulled that fall honey off and it sold in 24 hours. But now it's kind of like, we'll get it whenever.
Yeah.
For me, it goes in cycles. You'll go for a week and not sell anything, and then all of a sudden here they come in and pretty much clean you out.
Right.
What you got bottled up.
I've got 9 cases in the back of my truck and like a case of
I
pint
saw
jars.
that. That's great.
And I don't like to leave it out there, but it's like I'm tired of hauling cases in and out and in my truck and putting them in the kitchen or wherever. If I leave them in the kitchen, the air condition tends to try to crystallize them like this one,
Yeah.
But it it's all right. Did you see us do these little demos? I don't know if you remember Spanky that came on the show, but this is his hot honey that he was doing. Yeah, so this one is he didn't name what peppers in it, right? So he says like he's got Starburst, he's got Fire Starter, Smoke Starter. This one is where's the hot ones? Fire Starter. So this thing, it's dry, just like it's not liquidy like he boiled it. I mean, it looks just like I don't know if you can see it, just like regular honey. But this stuff, I think, has ghost pepper in it. It is freaking hot right away, right to the tongue, right to, oh my God, that's too much what I just put in my mouth. It is hot. Hot.
So
Oh my God.
The reason I haven't sent you any recipe, Bob, is I was screwing around with some stuff. And the ghost pepper honey, and it's also got the habanero in there. It's a ratio of like 2 to 1. But I only ran it basically overnight and then let it sit.
Right.
And it was running. I hate doing this because I wasn't able to really regulate it, but I held it at like about 120 degrees. I don't ever like to eat honey beyond 90, but it's infusion. And with the potato masher, I'm shoving stuff down on occasion, just mixing it up. So that's fine. I did that. But then I ran into, I thought, well, this is not the kind of heat that you're talking about that you just shoved in your face there.
Spicy.
Yeah. So what I did is I did the exact same recipe, but then I let it sit in the pot for 2 weeks. And man, that's hotter than it's same doggone peppers, but the length of time that it sits.
Had time to.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, what he does is he dehydrates the pepper. And then I don't know if he uses some kind of food bag, maybe cheesecloth. I don't know. And, or maybe even the paint strainer. I don't know. But he puts the dry peppers in there and lets the moisture out of the honey hydrate the pepper and pull the capsaicin. Pull the capsaicin out into the honey. And, I'll tell you what, that is, it's heat, but it's heat that sticks to your tongue.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just right there. It's good. I mean, you definitely got to use it sparingly, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how much he sells a 2-ounce bottle for, but he sent me and Lee 4 bottles each of different flavors and smoked and unsmoked. And so it's a nice little sample, but man, put this on some wings. You could really trick somebody. Hey, what are you putting on your wings? Oh, some honey. Oh, let me try that. Sure. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I do have that we got a winning barbecue guy. I think I brought this up before. The winning barbecue guy that I just ran into. And he got all terribly excited about it. He said, Mike, what we do now is we wrap the briskets or whatever, and then we set them aside, and at the very end we finish them off by putting a bunch of butter and honey in there. And when I mentioned I had the ghost pepper honey, his eyes got about this big. And I explained to him it wasn't the kind of heat that'll take your head off. It's more of the, fruity burn. And Yeah. So I mean, I could see it going both ways. I really can.
Well, I'll tell you what. That honey. Remember we were talking on the stream, and I said I was going to make some honey pineapple sauce.
Yeah. What was that?
That was amazing, is what that was.
Oh no. Oh.
I took
oh.
a pint of my honey,
Yeah.
a can of crushed pineapples, some soy sauce for a little
Soy sauce.
a little salty,
Okay.
taste to it. Some garlic,
Really?
like the the little jars of the minced garlic you can
Oh,
get,
yeah.
and I put that in it, and just seasoned it to my palate, right, that I like,
Yeah.
and then I put the chicken in it, the fresh chicken, not frozen, fresh chicken in a Ziploc overnight and let it just marinate in it.
Yeah.
And then when I slapped that joker on the grill, that honey just caramelized on there, made it a nice golden brown color.
It sounds absolutely delicious for that.
It
but
was
when you just had
amazing.
Pineapple and honey.
Pineapple and honey, yep.
Are you sending
just
that
those
to
two
me?
ingredients, my first thought was, oh dear Lord, I want to drizzle that on some ice cream.
Oh, it was good. It was real good. It was almost like a teriyaki sauce, almost.
Yeah.
But it glazed up really nice in the grill.
Sounds absolutely delicious. So, Brian, what hotel they got you hunkered down in now?
I'm at a Town Place Suites.
I'm sorry, what?
Town Place Suites, Marriott.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant where are you, not the hotel. I apologize.
Oh,
Bad wording. My fault.
southeast suburb in Denver, Aurora.
Ah,
Aurora.
yeah. So you got some cooler weather there compared to the rest of us, at least.
Well, it's 80 degrees right now. It's 9:00 at night and it's 80 degrees here.
Yeah,
It's
we're
hot.
still
It's hotter there than it is here right now.
Yeah,
interesting.
Today was a cool day.
I should turn that way there. I don't want the TV in it that way. Bob don't get no.
Oh, I got copyright strike a few weeks ago.
For what?
We were pumping William's channel up to try to get him to the 100 subs, so you'd have to do his tool giveaway.
Uh huh.
And when we hit 100, I think we got up to 106 subs, right? I played the Chili Peppers. Give it away now.
No, that's right.
And then at like 2 a.m, I got a copyright strike. This is just a warning. We took your video down. So it was worth it, though. It was worth it, 100%.
I want to go.
It was fun. To tell you the truth.
I want to go up to Sawmill Charlie and watch the movie production.
Oh, yeah. The commercial.
That was slick.
You like that?
That had to have been cool as all get out. Like being there, just as like a person standing on the side. That bystander just watching everything.
I was right up, right amongst them all. I mean, you had to stay out of the way, but
yeah. That
like,
was cool.
yeah,
It'd have been real cool if they cut you a big fat check for renting your sawmill for the day.
they sent us a little bit of money, not much.
Hey,
Yeah, there you go. But I did like the shot you had, Charlie, of the catering.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You can film here. Just bring that caterer back, okay?
exactly.
Which one? The one that talked, or
There was a woman that was talking. I think I forgive me if I don't remember.
yeah, sweets and treats and crunchy and whatever. Her.
What it was?
Yeah, I think. I mean, there was two different ones. There was one that was cooking chicken and all that,
I think I missed that.
and then there was another one there where her Wendy's sweet things or whatever it was, and she actually is an actor. I think around the Washington D.C. area, and that's I don't know. They're all that whole set thing where they're all union. You have to be union to be there. She has, they all kind of do a lot of different things and travel and everything.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's an interesting thing. It's like because I asked the producers were there and it's like I said, why is this guy in the white shirt, bird dogging the camera guy all the time? And he had this little doohickey thing on the side of his, on it like on a shoulder strap, and he's turning it and all that. And he said he's the number. You got the camera operator, and then you have cameraman number 1 or number 2 or whatever it is, and he's sitting there watching those other screens and focusing that camera wirelessly.
Oh, okay.
Wireless.
Yeah,
So that's why that focus thing costs $5,000.
Oh my God.
And then they had the black guy is pushing the little dolly. Well, he's called a grip.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the big deal about that? He says he starts at a specific point with that camera track, that dolly, and he has to stop at a specific point, and then it has to be at a certain rate of speed, not too slow, not too fast.
Oh, they got to move that whole assembly.
Yeah, depends on what the camera guy is trying to achieve.
Yeah.
The guy who was running the camera, he actually has a house in Spain. He's from, Italy, I think. And he also they flew him in from Florida to do that commercial.
Nice.
Because they couldn't find a camera guy that they liked.
Oh my God.
I mean, there was at least 50 some people there.
And then you got the guy that comes out with the light meter before they ever start to make sure the light is consistent from shot to shot to shot, right? Have you seen that guy?
I didn't see too much of that, but one of the producers, he came and, there was people there days beforehand checking out the location and
Wow.
all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And he would have an app. The one guy had an app on his iPhone, and it was gave it the date, positioning where the sun was going to be in the sky, so the sunlight's coming into like the big opening in the mill, and checking all that kind of stuff out.
Crazy.
And then he had
Crazy.
I didn't say, if you've seen some of them, you'll see like when I was doing the camera, I think in the background was a generator. Well, that was from the lighting guys. And that, it was, here's a generator on a 2-axle trailer. I mean, it's big.
Yeah.
And that thing was full tilt. You couldn't even hardly, it was like a Honda generator about the size of a suitcase. That's all the noise that thing made.
Little hum in there, huh?
Just a hum.
Wow.
And I mean, they had trunk line cables 1.5 inches in diameter because they're running all those lights, those great big lights I showed in the baskets. They had 2 or 3 of them inside running all that. And I said, what are they, LED? He said, oh, no, they're old school. They're like a big bulb inside there to give them. Certain lights give them like daylight effect and all that kind of stuff.
It's very interesting how they do that, because I saw even the I was watching something on what's that movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and where she's with Hannibal Lecter,
right?
Gosh, you know what I'm talking about. He puts the lotion on her skin.
No, that wasn't
Silence of the Lambs. That's Jodie Foster.
Oh yeah, Jodie Foster. Sorry,
yeah.
But that they filmed that. A part of that was filmed in broad daylight, but because of the way they lit it, it looked like she was in the dark and she couldn't see. But everything was.
That's an old John Ford trick. He did that all the time when he's filming all his westerns. He had a dark filter over this stuff and whatnot. That's kind of fun.
And it made it look
that movie
totally dark.
DC did something.
But they had that kind of stuff. They had screens that were like 10-foot square to block the sunlight coming in, or they had a screen there that was either white or they would have filters, and they would take one of them really super big lights and shine it up to bounce off the white screen so the lighting would come back down like normal daylight and things like, or they wanted a certain tint, so they would put a yellow filter, let's say, over top of that thing.
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
That's
and then
great.
like the one guy came out here, and I mean, yeah, like all right, a day or two beforehand, there was like
Take care, Tex.
there was a dozen people, the camera guys, the production guys, and the directors and stuff, and they would spot out all these different locations they wanted to put them. That dolly thing there, they moved that thing 4 different locations in that movie in that day. And what else did they do? Just think, and then what you saw in the video, that it's just like with me doing my videos. I'll get out there and take 4 takes on certain things like endings or whatever, beginnings, and
One.
I can't get my wording right sometimes.
Oh, I'm right there with you, Charlie. Hey,
See, it don't even matter for me. I just
Well,
talk
anyway,
shit.
on that, when they were doing them takes, like and all that, there would be 5 or 6 takes that they would do, and all that.
There's sometimes I'll screw up something like in my intro, and I'll do it again, but like that's only like 15 seconds.
Sometimes I film the whole video and then I go back and film the intro after and the outro after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I do
That-
that. That's what I'm
Easy
working on
was-
right now. Is that I had I was in the there's a one coming out about a virgin queen, and and then the next day when the weather was better, or a couple days later, then I added on to that film, and then added on different clips, and now I'm down to the point where I need to go back out and film I forget about filming an ending a lot of times,
Yeah.
and that kind
Say,
of stuff.
guys, DC was mentioning there that they'd gotten some Ukrainian bees from a beekeeper that moved over from Ukraine. And that was really pretty interesting because it was probably
Well, how-
about a month ago, people were asking about the Ukrainian bees. And I knew that entomologist in Kiev, and I was going through his stuff. And I think there's like 3 distinct honeybees that they have in Ukraine. It was just,
Well,
just a
Is
side
that,
note.
is that legal? I don't think they can bring bees out from another country, can they?
It's hard telling how long ago it was, Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've got a beekeepers here from Kazakhstan, but they came over here 30 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So that
wow.
could be what was going on there. I don't have an answer for you there, but they are really kind of a dark bee, and they do have some tint to them. I think DC had said something about red tint or something. It was just interesting. That's all.
He's looking for
But for one thing, Brian, was they had that camera that they use. It's just
Yeah.
like our GoPro. It's got an SD card on the side of it. Now the
Oh,
SD card is about 3 inches wide, about 4 inches long, and I forget what the
how
capacity
many
was. but
terabyte was it?
I don't know, but it was like $1,000 for that one SD card.
Yeah, it was probably a couple terabyte.
Oh, it was definitely that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Got a
Wow.
Harris from Sleepy Creek apiaries. Yeah, the Caucasians, Steve Bringer, they do come from the Caucasus, but if you have a hive that is just loading propolis everywhere, it could be a number of things that behavior and whatever strain of bees you got, but that's interesting.
My one queen that I got from Jose is a Caucasian.
What do you
And,
see?
It's a Caucasian hybrid, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
She's
so what do you get for
solid
propolis
black.
there, Brian?
So yeah, she's solid black, and I tell you, the population in that thing, I'm starting to see a lot of those dark colored bees.
They well, he was explaining to me that he takes a Carniolan queen and it gets inseminated by Sue Kobe with Caucasian sperm.
Oh, okay.
And so it hybridizes them, I guess, the spawn, right? So
Yeah.
but that's
So,
cool.
Brian, the question I have for you, Brian, is that what are you seeing as far as like any propolis difference, like just gluing down the frames or whatever?
I haven't really looked. I can check because in that double nuke, it's one side is the Caucasian hybrid, the other is his Carney Italian hybrid. His mixture. So I could check next time I open it up. I mean, I can.
Oh, please do, Brian, and get back to us on that.
Do you notice a difference for the side by side colonies where one's doing better than the other one, or I mean, can you really?
They're both right around the same pace, like for building out. They just in the last week, all 8 frames because they've got two, they're double boxed,
Right.
2D. They've built out all the frames now. So, but now I put in 4 frames that were already drawn, and I gave them 4 frames to work on, and they've completely drawn out all the frames. So I put 2 supers on it. So we'll see. But yeah, I want to move that Caucasian actually over to a 10 frame box. That way I don't lose her because she's
going
queen.
Yeah, see, the reason I'm really interested in those things there, Brian, is because we can sell propolis. I've got propolis traps on all my hives. Just go from there. Larry Murray had a question here.
Yeah.
I have Apivar on order as well as oxalic acid for treatment. The fat bee man shows mineral oil to treat. Don't do it.
Well, one thing is the mineral oil is illegal to use, and it doesn't really do anything. And that, if you watch them videos, look at the dates on them videos. There's a lot of things that are still on there that he doesn't even use anymore.
Yeah, Fred Dennis got something out there too about using oxalic acid, and the dosage is all wrong and everything else. But the thing about the fat bee man is that he kind of can pull some stuff out of his ear there and so on.
Did they update the oxalic label yet?
No. Mm-mm.
No, what's her name is still working with that. And down at the U Georgia, they're putting together some examples to shove down the FDA or whatever it is organization. They're people are being kind of dismissive about her. Like research into oxalic acid, but what people don't realize is that research he's doing will make it legal for us to treat using oxalic acid in some different ways. It's not if Randy Oliver's found some great new method. No, they need to repeat it in the lab and then try to shove it down the government's throat and say, look, we found this crap works. Stop telling us we can only do 1 gram of super. So that's what that's about.
Well, they already know years ago. It was what's her name? The gal on Benny's show, Jennifer Berry. The Europeans already figured out that 2.25 grams actually is the dosage that actually works with oxalic acid.
Is that per brood box?
Per brood box, yeah. That they found that out 5 or 6 or 7 years ago.
Isn't that the truth, Charlie? And how long have they been running oxalic there? 3 decades?
Oh, probably at least.
I think that's roughly it. Yeah.
But they mentioned that right on Bob Benny's one of his videos.
Yeah.
And
so that I just used that Apivar for the first time. You remember that my suspect Apivar?
Oh, dear Lord.
That I put in my wheat colonies. I bought it, right? It was 150 something bucks. So I was going to use it or try to use it. And I put, the strip, but I was only doing it on my non-honey producing colonies, my smaller ones, right? But I lost some queens in that deal too. I don't know why. Let me preface this. The pack that I got expires in October, and I just bought it a few months ago, right? So I don't know. It's obviously been sitting in Man Lake's warehouse for like 2 years.
Yeah. You mentioned that, and I just about pissed in my pants.
And those colonies have been, they were doing okay. I'm like, but they're not going to produce. So I went ahead and said, well, I'll just go ahead and treat them,
Yeah.
I put one strip in the 5-frame box, and man, I went back to some of them today. No brood, no queen. I'm like, are you
You
kidding
know,
me right
it's-
now?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
No
3
brood
days ago, I
thing,
went down.
that will slow them down. That stuff.
I put Apivar on all of my splits and swarms that I did, and I had to yank it after 4 weeks because they were building out so fast that, they went
Yeah,
to second
get
box.
whipped in. Yeah.
And then I yanked it like a week and a half ago so that I could put supers on them because they were building so fast. I'm like, what the heck can I do? Because I was like, I can't wait 2 more weeks or else they'll be swarming on me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I will say that the
Huh.
colonies seem to pick up, but that was part of the things, in the colonies that I was in, there was no brood, no larva, nothing capped. I'm like
My experience with Apivar is it's like a mild treatment. Now, if you're playing with Formic and like Might Away quick strips with the temps you have, I wonder if the temps had something to do with it.
but it doesn't have a temperature restriction on the label
Yeah.
for Apivar, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've never heard anybody mention that, but Brian, that was my first thought here too. But fair warning about the whole thing. I was going to do the Formic, but just one pad at a time, so I'm not like gassing the bees. Then you got 2 weeks, you put it out. Yeah, I know it doesn't penetrate the cap brood, but if you do it over a month, 2-week period, you get it covered. It got too hot here for me to put the Formic on, so I went down to our Man Lake dealer down here, and I says, I like to, get some Apivar strips. You got some? How many do you want? Blah blah blah. And I looked at the guy who's been running bees for a long time. I said, "How the heck do you tell if these things are any good or not?" And his eyes kind of glazed over. Says, "Well," he looks at the expiration date on it. Long story short, I'm sure all you guys know this, but some of the audience probably doesn't. Apivar has got such a shit quality control. You don't know if you're getting a good batch. You don't know if it's. So if you guys are using Apivar and you're counting on that stuff, dear Lord, please do a mite wash on some of them at least afterwards. So just check it out. It's just
because you don't know how much is on dosing per strip, right?
I'm gonna probably.
Right. So I went on the company's website and they said they got like 38 employees or something like that. I forget where it is in France, but they also listed that they had 18 people in quality control. And I'm like, yeah, Brian, exactly. And I'm like, no. So if anybody wants to use Apivar, go ahead. Yeah, it's supposed to be easy on the bees there, Steve, but we don't know if you're getting a good batch or not. And all the beekeepers that lost bees up in Manitoba and in Pennsylvania, 60-80% losses. That's what they were primarily running. There is one watchword. I'll just inject this real quick here because I don't think there's too many people that are northern in our audience here. But something I found out last year, I thought I was going to hit the bees really, really hard just as an experiment in the fall. So I was doing them every 4 days, but I was doing like 3 grams of super. And it shut down the queens. The queens stopped laying the winter bees, and I lost those hives.
Wow.
So,
And that's with oxalate?
Yeah, but you got to remember what time of year it was, and it was for me. And, the idea of hitting them at the very end of the year when they're pretty much broodless, ideally it's like 50 degrees. Hit them with it once and walk away. Don't do the multiple treatments in the fall. That's my own experience. I don't know if I'm right or not. But
I feel like I could go out. I feel like I could go out tomorrow and OA every colony in my yard and be fine.
What's kind of funny about that, Bob, is because I've got the pull-out boards on my bottoms.
Your pull-out game is strong?
What's that? What did you say?
Jesus.
Mike,
don't listen to him.
Okay. Anyways, so something I like to do in the spring. The bees are really flying real good, but before they brood it up, I like to hit them with a dose of oxalic, and then I pull the bottom board out and just look for mite drop. And, of course, it's not going to get all the mites. They might be in the cells that are there, they're low or whatever. But that's just me. I don't know.
Well, I feel like I used to, like last year, what I would do is I would hit them once a month, regardless. I would just prophylactically treat them with OA once a month, hit them before dark. And I figured any bees that had mites on them, it was knocking them off, and
getting rid of the fornic.
Just trying to keep it in check.
Yeah.
And it worked pretty good, going into winter, especially when they said, oh, well, you can use it with honey on there. But here's the thing. If you can use it with honey on there with a piece of paper, then you can use it with honey in there without the piece of paper. What OA police is going to show up at your apiary?
I wouldn't be as concerned about them showing up as much as I would as it affecting the taste of the honey. That's my only concern. So Bob Binney and Cayman Reynolds have both switched over to using HopGuard in the summer as soon as they pull off the honey supers. And again, the only watchword there is it's like formic. You got to watch the temperature, because if I remember right,
it's not
not HopGuard. I'm sorry. What is that?
ApriGuard.
Thank you, Charlie. Charlie always gets these simple mistakes that I made. God bless you, man. I really appreciate that.
That is what Greg used. And the colonies that he saw the highest population after the winter were the colonies that he didn't have enough time to get back around and take it off, because that's on like that pad, isn't it?
Yeah, you mean where the multi-dose thing? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he didn't remove them then until the spring. And every colony, it wasn't like it was just one or two. Every colony that he did not get to remove that had the highest population then come.
No shit, Brian.
Yep.
Of bees, you mean?
That's really interesting.
Yep.
Of bees.
Yep.
Wow.
Right. What my mite treatment program is.
For the greater good of the colony.
Well, we pull the honey off in July. So we start, let's say ApriVar, I'll say like the last 2 weeks of July. And then, of course, that's a 6-week treatment. And I'll take you to September.
Mm-hmm.
And then normally we will get like right today and yesterday, we're in the 70s here. It's just these 2 really nice 0 humidity days. And last year, right around Labor Day weekend, I guess it was, we had about a 5-day window. And I had enough product for 10 of my honey hives with Formic Pro. And I put the 2 strips on them. I had another 50 pack or so of ApriVar, and did those. I did those with my nukes. Then I came back in October. Let's see, September, October. Yeah.
So you put
late October, and then I did oxalic acid 2 weeks in a row in November and December. And those 2 months up here in Maryland was pretty mild. And, if I like it right around 40, people say, you're so darn precise. I said, well, you want all the bees in the house. So you want it around 47, 48 degrees, and they're all in there, and you could hit them. And I did oxalic acid, like you said, Brian, with if you treat through the winter, and I found a couple of my nukes, I hit them things in November, and I pulled those. I got screen bottoms on them, and I pulled out the sticky board, as they call it. Mm-hmm. And that thing looked like I took a pepper, a box of pepper, and just poured it on there of mites. Yeah. And I said, "Whoa!" And so I came back the next week, and it was less. And then I came back, and it was some bad weather kind of hit there at the end of November, into December. And then I hit them again right before Christmas, 2 more weeks. And by the 3rd treatment, then, when I say you look at the mite load, it's like, okay, where are they? And you'll say, well, there's one here and there's one there. You might have, let's say, 10 mites. And I guarantee you there was 2,000 mites to begin with.
Look at this. Now, this picture here was from my very first year when I really didn't know that much. Mm-hmm. But at least I hit them with Formic. And after I put the Formic on, I saved this picture of this bottom board. Holy hell.
Brian,
Yeah.
Brian, how many pads?
Yeah.
Oh,
there you
good
go.
Lord.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
That
that's
was,
always
like, that
frightening.
was like that one nuke I had. But what I was getting at is there we are in November, and you did all these other treatments in the summertime, and there's still this mite situation.
Yeah.
And I was doing multiple doses of OA for 6 to 7 weeks in a row and all this stuff, all that extra work. And it was like Jennifer says, when you are as broodless as possible, the OA is the best for winter applications. And I think when you got your honey supers off, that you need to be treating until they kind of like go back on.
Yeah.
Because then January came through, it was cold, too cold to do anything. February rolled through, and the last week of February was a decent 47 degrees, and I hit them again with oxalic acid, and I haven't treated them since then.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the majority of the time when the honey super's off, you better be treating them every month to keep that population down.
Yeah.
And and keep your bees alive.
Now the Apogard, you just peel the thing off of it and set it on the colony, right?
Now that's if you buy the little trays. But I've got Aprivar ordered. I've got a tub of Aprigard that you use like Bob does, where you pull a syringe up.
How much did you pay for that, Charlie?
Now it was $100 and some for the tub.
Man Lake's got it for $125.
Okay.
And that'll be free shipping at $125. So
That's not too bad.
and
Well, the Aprigard, that's new for me, so I'm gonna try that.
So what do you do with? I mean, if you pull it up in a syringe, then what do? Put it in a paper towel or something?
You got a syringe that they give you, and then there's these little cards, I call them, little white cards. You put the card on top of the frames, and you squirt. Some of the dosage is 50 grams every 2 weeks. It's basically a 4-week treatment. 2 weeks, 50 grams. Come back in 2 weeks and hit them another thing, and they'll dispense it. But that's what Bob was talking about, and then Cayman talked about it, and I'd like to probably get some clarification where he did it at a smaller dose, let's say 30-gram dose, but he did it every week for 4 continuous weeks.
Yeah, Charlie, I think you're absolutely right, because Bob was messing around with that too.
And Bob actually mentioned it in there someplace where he liked that idea where you spread it. You didn't, what would you say, slam the bees with that high dose and just
Look who it is.
Yeah, and again, it's temperature sensitive too. So
Hey Matt, I'm glad we got to see you again. If you watch his laser videos, you'll know that's like their tagline there. His tagline.
What's this question here? What about parasite resistance? Gray Homestead, what are you talking about, parasites?
Talking about like Varroa resistant bees?
Okay, I see what he's getting at. Yeah, so Gray, that's one of the reasons we alternate between the different things, like using Apivar, God help us, or Formic, or Apigard, Apistan. I don't recommend that because of the residues. I just did some deep writing in that, but then balancing that out with oxalic acid. So we're trying to not hit them all with the same thing constantly. And what's interesting is that a bunch of people were blaming the Apivar failures on mite resistance. And I can't remember who this guy is. He's got a pirate name down in Florida. Oh, he's one of the professors researchers down there. But he went into this whole deep dive about this stuff. And I'm listening to the whole damn lecture, and it never at what point did he go into, well, we measured the amount of chemical on each strip before we put it in. So that's I'm still cranking about that. I'm just pissed. If you send that stuff out, Daldane, one of those 18 quality control Frenchmen, you think one of them would be sober enough during lunch to do his job. Apparently I'm wrong.
Well, resistance.
Feed quality control.
I've only ever used OA until that Apogard or Apivar this year.
Yeah.
So OA has done me good, but then came out with that thing saying, oh, it really don't kill them, it don't knock it down that much, that
No,
video that they did.
Yeah.
Now, are you talking about the science guy
Mhm.
from Florida?
Yeah.
He was at my local college 4 days prior to getting on Cayman's channel, zooming. And
Right.
I asked him, he's talking about his experiment and about OA not working. And I says, when did you do that?
Oh, that's right. I remember that
I
shit.
said, what time of year did you do your experiment?
Yeah.
And he says, well, we did it in January in where? Florida. And then he come right out and said, that's like up here in Maryland in September. Oh, you're in the middle of summer, or not, well, the end of summer in Maryland. So, and he also said what?
I doubt they brood break too much in Florida.
There is no brood break. So, your science experiment is bogus because
I thought the same bloody thing, Charlie. It's in his name, I think, is Cameron Jack.
Yeah, that's it, Cameron Jack.
Yeah, and I heard that too, Charlie. And I'm like, going, why the hell are you even mentioning it to us? Do you realize that there's bees outside of Florida, you moron?
No, the thing of it is, oxalic acid. He proved one thing: oxalic acid is not an effective product in the state of Florida, or where there is basically no brood break, wherever that may be in this country.
Which is why I was doing it prophylactically once a month to try to keep those numbers down. Going into winter, which the bees would be strong enough to carry themselves through the winter until the spring, where I could start hitting them again. But it doesn't get cold enough, so I could treat in November, I could treat in December, I could treat the whole time,
And DC, it wasn't a matter of the lab compared to the real world. The guy was just doing a one zone observation, and I've railed about this, and I'll keep railing it to everybody. Beekeeping is regional. What doesn't work in Florida can work here, and vice versa, and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I hate that. And why in the world he just choose to test it down in Florida?
It's just like a friend of mine that's up here. He's been in beekeeping for over 50 years.
Yeah.
And we get to talking and about all these experiments and all this here latest information. And he says, there isn't any latest information. Nothing has changed in the last 5 years. The only thing that brand new that's earth shattering was when Dr. Sammy Ramsey here up in Maryland said, hey, what you've been telling the beekeepers for the last 30 plus years was totally wrong.
Yeah, the body fat.
No, it was about, they kept saying that the mite was sucking the blood out of the bee.
Yeah, the body fat.
Yeah, well, no. Before all the body fat, he discovered the body fat part. Prior to that, they kept saying the mite was like a tick, and he was sucking the.
Charlie, I'm agreeing with you there.
Yeah, the hemoglobin. Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's got some other
since that point on, there hasn't been any major new discoveries.
Yeah.
And far as earth-shattering stuff.
Yeah. So what somebody just made a comment up here about Randy Oliver. Steve made it. Randy Oliver does a good job checking all the boxes and uses the controls. Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. All of his experiments are done primarily in California. So he tried to take the exact same shop towel, oxalic acid liquid or everywhere, and tried to use it in Georgia. Ended up killing like 20 or 200 of Bob Binney's hives. And the only thing they could figure out was the humidity difference. So, if somebody's got something figured out in Guam, it doesn't make any sense that it's going to work for certain in the Antarctic. So
Yeah.
that's just, I just had, because I see so many people. God bless Randy Oliver. I really love what he does. I love his methodologies. He does a fantastic job. But again, it's just in one region.
Right, and the thing with Randy is that I mean, he's pretty much. I don't think he's really going with the shop towels anymore. He's going towards the sponge thing.
Thank you, Charlie.
He's found that the shop towels, the
Yeah, it's
sponge
like
is a much more effective
a
method
cellulose
in
sponge.
his experiments so far.
Yeah, I think it's a cellulose sponge. I think.
Yeah, it's a cellulose. Actually, I knew a few people in my area that kind of checked that out, and it's not for a hive that's overrun with mites. It's kind of like Aprivar.
Okay.
It's to maintain a low level through the season.
Yeah.
But it's still in the experiment stages and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I have my mite treatment program I've kind of come up with, and I've been constantly changing it to combat the mites.
Yeah.
And there is no exact
silver bullet for it, right?
Bullet for it yet. It's like, well, I'll try this year. I'll try this, 3 different things this year, and see if I can get my bees through the winter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Phil the Bee Man did that up, and he's an acquaintance of Ian Sepler's up in Canada. He did a blind, and it's painful to watch because but he did a blind treatment test. And he's using a deck of cards and going through, and he rated all of them according to the total mite treatment. Phil the Bee Man, and he gave a specific order as to which ones were more effective, but I don't remember what doses he was using or what time of year it was or any of that kind of stuff. So that was interesting. There was only one thing that people have pretty much completely ruled out, and that's hop guard. And I remember, who the hell was it? Somebody was just talking.
Cayman said, well, they're on like
3,
model 3 of it, right?
Yeah.
So that means they sold model 1 and model 2 that were ineffective. So we'll make a model 3. So he's like, until they can prove that it works, he's not going for it.
But Randy Oliver talked about that on some of these live chats that I viewed. And he actually had to call the manufacturer up to get clarification on the directions because they're not clear. And in order for that stuff supposedly to work, you actually have to put that hive in a brood break scenario and apply like 3 doses of it in order for supposedly to work.
Are you talking about the hop guard?
That's right. Yeah.
So the guy that was working on this guy's a fantastic scientist. In fact, it was him that found out and documented that if you have a high Vrilla load in overwintered bees in cold climates, that they do not hold the cholesterol that well. Yeah, it was actually his 14-year-old son's suggestion. I forget what his name is. I think he's from Pakistan or whatever. But he was part of that project, Charlie, and they were working on. And I think he had a lot of financial incentive to try and make hop guard work. And God bless him for trying it, because we can all use a variety of doses or treatments, right? But Bob, when he said that they're on version
I've
3
never
of it,
used it, but everybody who has used it tell me it's the most messiest stuff there ever is.
Is it really?
It's terribly
what's
messy.
it like? Is it like jelly
it's paper strips that you drape over the frames, and it's like soaked in tobacco and oil.
Oh dear Lord!
It's just it's pretty gross. It's what they tell me. I have never pulled with it.
Well, is it? Yeah, it's hop soil. Thank you. I was just having a flashback to the college kid.
Hey, I'm gonna hop off of here in a second.
Yeah, I got to get going to it.
Yeah, me too. But anyways, all you guys, God bless, and happy Father's Day to Bob and Charlie and Brian and and all everybody in the audience. God bless you, and
I appreciate you guys for hopping in and making a show tonight.
I know it's hop, so I'm just saying that's what the people describe to me.
You need to test
it's a very messy application.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. But we're getting around to it. But
Well,
yeah, we
we-
couldn't let Bob sit alone. I mean, he's sitting outside.
We could just put little flea collars on all of the bees. Of course, flea collars have neonicotinoids in them, so.
Well, that's how we were going to do our mite counts. We were going to go through and individually pick up the bees and just check them.
Check them and put them down.
When I was
Ryan,
back-
I want you to let me know how that works for you.
When I was at Greg's the last time, I told him he was talking in his learning yard. He was just talking about doing mite checks and that. I said,
Yeah.
and when you do that, Greg, you pick them up by the wings real careful and you check their bellies, right? He said, "Here, Brian, go ahead and start that and let me know how that works."
Oh dear Lord. Thyme oil and tea tree, wintergreen coconut oil, blue shop towels that seem to work somewhere. And I do get some mite drop. Eugene, honest to goodness, man, to everybody that tries this different stuff, if you don't do it before and after mite wash, you have no idea what the actual count is. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but the other thing of it is a thymol. That's what's in Aprigard. It's a thymol. Yeah. It's a thymol treatment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it isn't. Anyway, all right, guys. I like to say it's getting here late, and I got.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, take care.
Catch you all later. Yeah.
All right, guys.
I'm early here.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, y'all have a good evening.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Thank you, Bob.
Brian, have a good week at work. And I'll be here at the house holding it down for you.
I'll be in Denver 6 days, and then I'll be in Albuquerque for 6 days, and then I'll be home 10 days.
So if anybody gives you crap about your shirt there, just go up to Montana and they'll buy you a beer.
Now, I actually had a couple people. I do this on purpose when I travel now. I wear my grunt style shirts. That way I can tick off the sensitive people.
Need to buy you a Beaking Bad shirt.
Yeah, but they don't have like the Constitution and if it had the rifles and that on the sleeve, then
I'll make sure I put that on the next one.
there you go.
It's fun to screw with those people.
I do, yeah, all the time.
Well, you guys take care. Good night.
All right, good night.
I'll talk to you, Bob.
All right, have a good one. All right, thank you everybody for sitting around and chatting with us tonight. Remember, Tuesday night is our normal night at 8 o'clock. Lee will be with me. We're doing a giveaway for another Ceracell hive top feeder from our good buddies over at, I'm trying to find it. Hold on. Where did he put it? There you go. Right there. From that way, from Blythewood Bee Company. The Ceracell feeders. You have a choice of 5, 8, or 10 frame Ceracell hive top feeders. And you got to go to last Tuesday Night Live video, and make sure you put the comment on both mine and Lee's channel and thumbs up, and you'll be entered to win the giveaway on this Tuesday night show at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. And guys, we appreciate you so much for everything you do. Thanks for the support, the subscriptions, the super chats, all that good stuff you guys do. And we'll see you on the next stream. Thanks, guys.